Welcome to King FANI, and today we're going through Otosaka, the main protagonist of Charlotte. Spoilers ahead. Yuu at the start of the series is a selfish, arrogant and narcissistic boy who misuses his ability on a daily basis. It's implied that he is an academically poor student and hence needed to cheat to achieve top-ranked grades. Whether this is accurate or he simply saw it as easier than having to study is unknown, but now implies that his standardized test scores are low. Despite this, Yuu is clearly intelligent, being able to devise carefully calculated schemes to achieve his devious goals. He is also able to calmly analyze situations shown during the baseball game in moment of earnest. Furthermore, considering the fact that he is able to memorize the answers of the smart students in under 5 seconds, he shows the potential to be exceedingly diligent. However, he does not put his academic abilities and talent to use while the master of his own crafts. Yuu isn't the best at socializing with others and is quite rude. At the beginning of the story, he acts differently only when talking to his younger sister, Amy, with whom he tones down his personality and becomes more open and brotherly. It is also implied that he has a sister complex while masquerading as a model student. He hides his narcissistic personality, but occasionally starts laughing like a villain. If his plan succeeds, even if others are present, Yuu can also be perverted at times. Whenever he possesses a girl's body, he uses his ability to cause fights among people he dislikes and to cheat on tests by possessing smart students and memorizing their answers. He cares little for other people, including his classmates and strangers. He even orchestrates an accident to save Yuu Mishra energy without any concern for the truck driver he possesses. The only exception to this apathy is his younger sister, although he attempts to form a relationship with Yumi when he leaves her behind after she fell while he was trying to escape. Now it becomes clear that he only likes Yumi for her looks. He also loves to eat good food to the point of crying, the reason being that his sister adds pizza sauce to everything she cooks for him. Even the French toast after being forced to transfer to Hoshinoumi by now Yuu's personality slowly begins to change for the better. At first, he's clearly using his ability for anything he doesn't want to do and only does so after urging. From now, though, this changes as time passes. Although he dislikes Now in the beginning, he feels sympathy for her regarding the situation with her brother and her difficult past, as well as her rocky relationship with the other students. Throughout the series, Yuu acts as a comedic straight man whenever something bizarre or abnormal occurs due to the other members' antics. An example of this is his reaction to Yoshihiro Takasho's physical state after using his ability to get lunch from the cafeteria or his reaction to Miss Rabani's threats to burn things. He unknowingly begins to enjoy his time as a member of the student council, as evidenced at his excitement at winning the baseball match in a moment of earnest. As of the sound you heard, sometime he becomes a fan of the post-rock band Zand. After Ayami's death, Yuu goes through some severe depression and instability. He goes as far as locking himself in his room for days, doing nothing but eating instant noodles and watching TV. And honestly, with the pandemic, I feel that after escaping Hoshino, my youth mental state continues to deteriorate and he begins picking fights with gang members, finding joy and having them beat each other up while he possesses them and injures them. He's also shown to be borderline sadistic as he laughs with glee after stabbing one such gangster in the leg with a wooden skewer. He continues to go in a downward spiral and even reaches a point where he's about to use drugs. This goes on until Now stops him. After returning to Hoshinoumi, Yuu is noticeably more grateful towards his fellow members and is much more accepting of their antics, seeing them as close friends. He begins to try to move from Ayami's death, but finds himself reminded of her constantly, including a number of times when he thinks about calling home to tell her he'll be late only to realize she's not there anymore. His encounter with Sally-Ann shows him to realize that he has become more gentle and considerate towards those around him and that it was Now who caused him to change over time. This new attitude is shown when he takes Sala to meet Keisuke tomorrow in the hopes of curing Sasuke's mental illness. Despite there being no gain for him in the original timeline, his personality is the same as it was when he met Sala, despite the fact that he never met. Now in this timeline, it's also implied that he never developed his villainous tendencies, possibly because of his older brother's good influence on him. He is still a caring older brother to a Yumi and everyone thinks he has a sister complex. He also cares greatly and looks up to his older brother Shinsuke and has a lot of faith in him, even risking his own life to save Shinsuke so that he could time leap and change the past. As a child, Yuu is shown to be quite responsible for his age. As he helps Amy cook breakfast and later scold Shinsuke for sleeping late instead of making breakfast during the events of Charlotte, Yuu ultimately overcomes his selfish nature completely. Despite his initial fears, he attempts to rescue Nao and Kumagai from a group of foreign terrorists who want to use him for their own goals. Later, Yuu is saddened when he learns of Kumagai's death and he feels responsible for it. As of promise, Yuu is shown to care for his friends immensely and wants to be able to protect them from harm no matter how much danger he may have to face. This, as well as his promise to Nao, allows him to decide to take a huge risk and attempt to plunder all abilities outside of Japan. His determination is strong enough to snap Shinsuke out of his depression over Kumagai. His death over the course of his journey, Yuu's abilities as well as the constant danger he faces, begin to take their toll on him. He shows signs of PTSD and is unable to sleep. And if he does sleep, he sleepwalks and attacks enemy ability users as well as innocent civilians. Gaps in his memory start to form, and he finds himself unable to remember either his past or his goal. He isn't even able to remember now, but he is able to remember their promise. He also appears to no longer fear death either because he could save himself using his newfound abilities or because he is becoming emotionally numb. As time passes, he embraces the moniker One-Eyed Grim Reaper. It is implied that he has forgotten his own name at this point, and he begins plundering abilities with glee. He briefly shows signs of his old and narcissistic ability using personality, but ultimately forgoes this way of thinking when now his flashcards bring on feelings of regret, as well as determination to keep his promise, despite his inability to remember who he made this promise to or why. He continues to plunder abilities in a somewhat emotionless state, though, does seem to get angry at enemies occasionally. At the end of his journey, he is a shell of his former self, almost completely devoid of emotion. He barely even shows much, if any, reaction, having 3 arrows shot into his back. Despite this, he saves the life of the last stability user and tells her to get to safety after plundering her ability of courage, thereby completing his mission. At the end of the series, Yuu has lost all of his past memories. As a result, his personality is a blank slate. However, he is still similar to how he was before he left, as he tells Nao not to cry, showing he has retained his kindness despite the trials he has faced. Yuu now looks forward to making many new fun memories with his friends as he moves towards the future. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you in the next one.